This is an interview on September 7th, 2020, with Skeletal Remains singer and guitarist Chris Monroy by Nick Burkell. Now, Chris, tell me about when you got your first guitar.
Well, I come from my brother. It was the one that kind of music. He's a guitar player, and he kind of, there was always guitars and different instruments, and he played in bands. So there's always that kind of stuff around when I was growing up. So I would always see them, but I don't think there was like I said, there was always guitars around. So I don't think I owned my like an actual guitar that belonged to me till like I don't know, maybe till I was like maybe like 10 or 11, I want to say. I went to Mexico on vacation with my father, and some of my friends that live over there, they were starting to like play guitar, and I already knew some things because my brother would teach me stuff here and there. Nothing serious, just like a couple chords or like a Nirvana song or something like that. So when I got over there, a few of my friends that lived out in Mexico, they were starting to like get into music and play guitar, and I kind of like when we would hang out, because when we would go to vacation over 3 weeks, sometimes a month. So I'd hang out with them all the time, and they'd be playing guitar, and they were already starting to get pretty good, and I only knew a few things. I'm like, yeah, my brother plays guitar, and I think the first time I actually bought a guitar, or my dad bought me a guitar, was in Mexico. I think I think we bought it at a music store. I can't remember where we bought it, but it was like this really cheap acoustic, and that was the first time I actually bought, like I had a guitar that belonged to me. But besides that, there was always guitars laying around, at home, because like I said, my brother would, he's the one that kind of inspired me to pick up an instrument. But yeah, I think I must have been maybe like 10 or 11 when I got my first, guitar. I started playing very young, but I wasn't really serious about it. I didn't start getting serious about it until, I bought my own guitar, and then I started like taking music class, and I think it was middle school or something. I started taking, like I said, music class or whatever, and that's when I kind of started getting really serious about it. Once I got into high school, that's when I was like spending 10 hours a day playing guitar and stuff. So, but yeah, I think I was like 10 or 11, something like that. I'm not too sure.
What kind of music education did you receive over the years, and have you taken private lessons?
No, the only thing I've ever done was like the music class in high school and middle school. But to be honest, when I was taking music class in middle school, I wasn't even playing guitar, trombone or something. And then I moved to the drums for a bit. I did get one lesson from this dude, Jeff Potts, who he lives in LA now. He used to be in that band, Meltdown, who changed the name to Mantic Ritual. So I got one lesson from that dude once, because he's a killer guitar player. This was back like when I was playing in FBF. I don't know, maybe 2010. And so I got like one guitar lesson from that dude. But besides that, I never had any kind of lessons. It's all pretty much self-taught. Stuff that I learned from my brother, and then stuff that I learned, I don't know, off the internet and YouTube, and just learning songs that I liked and stuff like that. But yeah, I never really got any like professional guitar lessons or music lessons.
I last spoke to you before Portland, Oregon's Famine Fest in 2016. Later that year, you played the Asasuka Deathfest in Japan. Can you tell me about what that concert was like?
Yeah, dude. That fest, Asakusa was fucking awesome. That was our first time, going to Japan, and yeah, it was fucking killer, dude. We had a great time. I think we did 3 shows in Tokyo. We played the festival twice, and then we did like a secret show, I think, on Halloween, or it might have been, yeah, I think it was on Halloween. Yeah, man, that was fucking awesome. We had a great time. We were there for I think 3 or 4 days. We got a chance to like look around. We went out and partied for Halloween, and yeah, man, it was fucking amazing. I can't wait to go back there. We had plans to go back out there this year, but some stuff happened and it didn't work out. But hopefully we go back out there next year. But yeah, man, that was an awesome festival, and an amazing country to play, man. Those fans are like, it was pretty surprising how many. We honestly didn't think we were going to be playing to any people at all, but there were so many people. And to be honest, I think that's the most merch we've ever sold in one, like at a show. Obviously on a tour, it's there just in one single show. For that festival, I think that's the most merch we've ever sold. So yeah, that was fucking awesome. We had a great time.
Now, did you get to travel around Japan much and hit up any places to get like new musical gear or any rare albums?
Not that time. I was there a few years before that with FBF, and I got to go to music shops and stuff like that. But this time when I went with Skeletal, we didn't really have much time to like go around and find music stores. However, we did get a chance to walk around and get some food and stuff like that. And then on Halloween night, we went out and like partied till like 6 in the morning. And yeah, that was pretty killer. But we didn't really get to hit any like music stores or anything this time around. But yeah, hopefully next time we get out there, we have more time and we have more days, to actually look around and stuff.
Can you fill me in on your current lineup in Skeletal Remains?
Yeah, sure. So right now it's me and Mike De La Ho on guitar. Me and Mike were the ones that started the band back in 2011 or whatever. And after we finished writing the demo, he had to leave for some personal reasons, go out and start touring. This band, when this band was started, it was supposed to be just a small side project, nothing serious. And things were starting to get serious, and he don't want to be we don't want to be that band member to hold the band back. So he decided to split. So recently, when we had the big lineup change, Mike has always been around, the band, and he's always been, very, very supportive and stuff throughout the years. We went to high school together, so we kind of grew up together, and I've always kept in touch with him, and he's even helped out a few times to fill in for our old guitar player when he wasn't able to do shows or whatever. So he came back in the band, and then our bass player Noah was also someone who was kind of helping out here and there when our other guitar player was. Noah was actually a guitar player. He would fill in for our old guitar player Adrian when he wasn't able to do shows, or like for example we did that Revocation tour last year. I think like we had a couple of dates in Canada, and Adrian wasn't able to get into Canada because he had some stuff on his record. So Noah was filling in for guitar on that, and then halfway through that tour, our bass player couldn't finish the tour, and Noah came in and helped finish, the tour on bass. So Noah has also been, been in like kind of helping out with the band. So that's our current lineup as of now, and then we just got a full-time drummer, Pierce Williams, who we will be announcing on Friday. I'm sure once this goes live or you post this, we should have already already announced him. But yeah, we'll be announcing him this Friday. So that's the current lineup as of now.
Now, you released 3 digital singles for your new album. What does it mean to put out a single in 2020? And do you see any relevance to physical promotion now?
And the time we're in now, everything's kind of like on social media, and everything's done. Like I think all promotion is done, through that. Like digitally, people like bands release, a single as in, like a 7-inch or something like that. That's really cool. I really like stuff like that. But yeah, I think I think just releasing the singles is a good way to give the people somewhat of an idea of what the album is going to sound like, and kind of helps build up the hype and stuff like that. So it's really cool. The 3 singles we released so far, I think we released those singles because we felt that those were kind of a good introduction to what the rest of the record was going to sound like. So yeah, but yeah, I think it's important to give fans some kind of taste of what the record's going to sound like. So
in February 2018, you released Planetary Genocide on a flexi disc, courtesy of Decibel Magazine. Tell me about that song, and also, what was it like just releasing music on flexi disc?
Decibel reached out to us. I can't remember. Yeah, something like that. Anyways, they just asked if we had a song, that wasn't going to be on the record that we can use for the flexi. And Planetary was one of the songs that we thought would be a cool, because the flexi came out before any single of Devouring record. So we thought Planetary would be a good introduction to what the new record was going to sound like. So that's the reason we picked that song. But yeah, it was cool, man. I mean, it was the first time doing that, and really thankful that the Decibel dudes hit us up for that. And yeah, man, I think that thing sold out really quick, and I hear it's pretty rare to find now. So it was a very cool experience, and hopefully we get to do it again. No, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it, man.
Now, what was it like when you first started working with recording engineer Dan Swano? And can you tell me about what kinds of things you said to each other when it came to Planetary Genocide, Devouring Mortality, as well as Entombment of Chaos?
We picked him because we felt that I mean, obviously we were big fans he's been a part of, and different albums he's also engineered and stuff, or mixed and mastered, and so that was a big reason why we picked him. And he's been around since since this genre was beginning, and he's been around since since the early days. So we thought that he would be a good choice because he would understand the band and he knows what we're going. He would understand what we're going for as far as the sound. So yeah, that's the reason why we picked him. And the experience working with him has been nothing but great. And that's the reason we used him again for this record, because we were so happy with the result of Devouring Mortality that we wanted to use him again. And we honestly on this I didn't expect this record to sound even better than Devouring, and he made it sound even better. So yeah, he's just good at what he does, and I feel like he understands the band and he gets what we're trying to go for, So yeah, he's definitely first choice when it came to trying to figure out who would like mix and master a record.
For Devouring Mortality, that was your first release on a major label. Was there any sort of immediate changes that your band experienced, like access to better studios, new equipment, better tour opportunities, placement in more prominent music publications, or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that all comes when you sign to a bigger label. I think all of those obviously the promotion, there's a better reach compared to a smaller label. A label like Century Media will have a way bigger reach. So things definitely, it seemed like our album was getting into more people, and more people were starting to discover the band, and I think that's why we've got the good opportunities for touring, stuff like that, and stuff like having a better budget when you record a record. When we weren't on Century Media, when we were on the last label, FDA, a lot of this, most of the stuff that we were doing was coming out of pocket. We were paying the studio time to record a record, the artwork and all that stuff. That was pretty much all coming from our own personal money. So, being on a record label like, Century Media, you have a bigger budget, and that's the reason why we had the opportunity to be able to work with Dan Swano, Dan Secret for our artwork. And, yeah, so things definitely it definitely gets better being part of, of a bigger label. But I mean, that also depends on what kind of deal you get, but Century Media has treated us fucking amazing, and we're very happy with the relationship that we built with them, and part of a record label that has so many legendary bands and bands that we look up to.
Just wondering where you were at, like what were your favorite albums to listen to while you were recording Entombment of Chaos?
While I was recording it, I don't really think I was listening too much because I was just focused on either trying to track things or coming up with new ideas for solos, coming up with lyrics, trying to figure out vocal patterns. So I don't think I was really listening too much. If I was in the record, and when I was writing the record, it's a lot of different things, and not just death metal, different styles of music. I mean, I guess I can tell you what, like, when me and Mike were, writing the record, there was definitely a lot of Morbid Angel being mixed, spin, like a lot of the later stuff, with Tucker, like Gateways, Formulas, stuff like that. And then, I don't know, there was a lot of different stuff. Dead Congregation was always, spinning, into a lot of the classic stuff, the early Hate Eternal records, even the newest stuff, and yeah, a bunch of different stuff. I can't even remember, to be honest. But it was mostly when we were writing the records that, like, I was listening to a lot of music, but we were actually recording. I don't really think there was much being spent. I was just more focused on, trying to figure out stuff for the actual record. And if I was spinning stuff, it wasn't anything that was death metal. It was probably, some indie stuff, or some like rock, like just different shit that's not death metal. So
when it comes to writing, what techniques do you enjoy experimenting the most with? Playing around with arpeggios, using different scales, palm muting or avoiding palm muting, or anything else?
Yeah, I mean, it's always different, man. I mean, it's more of like what happens while I'm trying to come up with an idea. It's not really, I don't really like sit down and say, okay, for this song I'm going to use this arpeggio. It's kind of just like what naturally flows out when especially for solos, when I'm writing solos, it's kind of just like what naturally comes out. I always try to experiment with different things and not itself, although that's like really hard. But yeah, different scales, different arpeggios, and different like I don't know, different phrasings for the arpeggios and scales and stuff like that. But I'm always I'm always trying to change things up to not sound too similar, but that's very hard. I'm kind of, I don't know, I feel like I stick with certain scales, and that's kind of became my style, I guess, and sound. So, but yeah, it's very hard. But yeah, I'm always experimenting with different things. Different, try to incorporate different ideas, new ideas, different arpeggios, different scales, different pickings, like hybrid picking. Just instead of just like all the time tremolo up and down picking. I always try to just mess around with different things.
Elusive Divinity kicks off the album in an especially strong fashion. Tell me how old this song is and its origin.
So when I started writing this record, I started writing it during the touring cycle of Devouring Mortality. We were touring all the time. So, when I was home every time, because most of the time I'm home, I'm usually just with my kids and family. So, when I did have free time, I would try to sit down and write stuff. I attempted to try to write stuff with the last lineup, but things weren't working out. And, it was more of just me doing everything. So the first 3 or 4 songs of the record, were written in the last, I don't know, year or so. And then once, Mike came back into the band, we finished the rest of the record within a matter of, I don't know, 2 months or something, 6 weeks. So Elusive Divinity being part of the second half of the record that me and Mike wrote together. That song was a fairly new song. We wrote that song probably like in the beginning of this year, and yeah, it was just something that kind of like with the rest of the songs that me and him wrote, they kind of just came out, pretty fast. Me and him haven't written music together since the demo days back in 2010, 2011. Surprising to be able to write music together so fast, and like it almost seemed like we never stopped writing together. So yeah, that was one of the more newer songs that we finished. Yeah, that was written actually fairly quick. But yeah, sometime in the beginning of the year. It's not a song that's been written. Like we usually never write songs and bring them back a couple years later. That never really happens. If we write a song and we don't like it, we just toss it. We don't go back to it and try to take riffs from it or anything like that. It's always just either it's a good song or it's not. If it's not a good song, we toss it and we write a whole new track.
Now, can you tell me how Dissectacy came to be and what type of songwriting techniques you used for it?
I don't know. I never really got and asked like what kind of techniques I used to write the song. Like it kind of just comes naturally, man. Like I don't know, when I'm writing a riff, I sit down and write a riff, and I exchange it with Mike and be like, hey, what do you think about this riff, or vice versa. He writes a riff and he exchanges it with me, and we tell him we go back and forth. Like if it's cool, then we agree on it. If not, we go back and forth and try to change something with it, or just completely scratch it and write something completely different. So that's kind of the process of how we write music. There's not really, I don't think, any special techniques or anything we use. We kind of just write a riff, show it to each other, and if we're okay with it, we keep it and continue from there. If not, we move things around with the riff and try to make it to where we're happy, and then keep going like that until we have a complete song. But that song was just that actually Dissectacy was a song that I wrote before Mike came in. So that song had been written, during the whole touring cycle of Devouring Mortality, like I mentioned earlier, when I was home and when I was able to write stuff. But most of that stuff I was just writing at home to a drum machine on my computer. So I'd come up with a riff, and then I'd think of a drum beat that I thought would be good for that riff, and then I'd write the riff out on my computer with through MIDI, and then I recorded the riff on top of it, and that's how I wrote the first 3 or 4. That's how we wrote the whole record, because we didn't have a drummer, we didn't have a full-time drummer, so we wrote all the record to a drum machine, and then once we were done writing it, we sent all the tracks to Charlie, who played drums on the record, and he learned all the songs, and he flew down to LA, a couple weeks before we were supposed to hit the studio, rehearsed everything, got it as tight as possible, and then we went into record.
I think Unfurling the Casket was my favorite non-single of the album. Can you tell me about that track?
Yeah, sure. So yeah, that track was also a track that I wrote. The tracks that I wrote were Unfurling, Dissectacy, Congregation of Flesh, and Tombs of Chaos, which used to be a completely different song. But we completely changed the riffs and, reworked that song once Mike came in, and it became something completely different. So that used to be a completely different song, but we reworked everything and, made it better. But yeah, that song, Unfurling, was actually, I always had that, I had that idea of the intro that's kind of like, a human era style death intro that I had written a long time ago, and that's kind of how the song started. And then from there the rest of the riffs came, and then that was the song. And then once we finished the whole record, I've always wanted to do this idea of like a very cool intro, kind of blackened, kind of Carcass, like 1985 style intro, and that's how I came up with the idea for that intro of Unfurling. But yeah, it was just kind of like I said, man. Most of the music kind of just came out naturally. I mean, there's not really like any techniques or certain techniques I use; they just come out.
Now, were you able to play any of these songs live yet, or do any webcast concerts or anything?
Yeah, we did. We did a live recording a few weeks ago that we probably will release maybe this week or the following week, after the record drops. And I think we did. It's not like a whole full set. I think it's like 4 songs or 3 songs that we'll be releasing, and the majority of them are the newer tracks from the new album.
Now, do you know any awesome new radio shows or zines to check out?
To be honest, nah. I haven't really. I've been so focused with this record and listening to all the mixings and stuff like that, and packing pre-orders this last fucking week. We've been packing like 1,000 orders to ship out. So yeah, we've been completely busy with that stuff. I haven't really had a chance to check out any stuff like that, radio shows or zines. But yeah, I'm mostly listening to just albums and checking out new bands when I get a chance.
You want to give out any shout-outs to any friends of yours and bands that recently released any new music?
Yeah, the new Necrot record rules. I've been listening to that. What else have I been listening to? Friends, the new Warbringer record that was released. I think it was earlier this year. Was it earlier this year or last year? I can't even remember.
No, it was this year.
But yeah, this year. So that new record is fucking great too. I spin that a couple of times. Good friends of ours, and newer stuff that I've been listening to. Not necessarily friends, but newer bands that I've been listening to recently is like I've been listening to that new Holocaust record. I'm not sure if you're familiar with them. They're like I think they're from Scandinavia. That new record, I think it's called Calandra or something like that. It's like a green cover. I've been listening to that nonstop. That's really cool. It's more like it's not really like death metal. It's more like I think they call it adventure rock or something like that. But it's really cool, very 80s sounding. With some synths and stuff like that. It's really, really cool. But besides that, let's see, what else have I been listening to? I can't think of anything at the moment. I'm sure if I look at my Spotify, I can pull up everything I've been listening to in the past, couple months. But that's all I can think of at the moment.
Now, what is your most cherished musical possession? It could be gear, an autographed album, something like that.
I'm not sure. I have a really killer first pressing of power metal, Pantera's power metal, that I picked up in Japan back in, I don't know, when I was out there with FBF. I picked up a fucking first pressing of Pantera's power metal. That's something that I try to take care of. But like instruments, my favorite guitar is the Jason Becker Carbon, but I don't tend to use it live anymore. I was going to use it on this record for solos, but it's kind of hard with the drop tuning, and it has a shorter shorter scale neck or whatever. So it doesn't really work out too well for the whole drop tuning that we use in Skeletal remains. But that's one of my my favorite guitars, and I think like I try my best to take care of it. I was touring with it for a bit with FBF, and I kind of regret that because it kind of got some road damage, but whatever, it is what it is. But yeah, I kind of just like keep that at home and don't really take it out anymore. But that's like one of my favorite guitars. But yeah, besides that, I don't know, man. I can't really think of anything at the moment.
Final words.
Yeah, thank you, man. Thanks for taking the time, to call, and then thanks to anyone that's listening, and pick up our new album, and hopefully we'll see you guys, on the road sooner than later once this whole pandemic shit's over. And yeah, thanks again, man.
This has been an interview on September 7th, 2020, with Skeletal Remains singer and guitarist Chris Monroy by Nick Perkel.